Hey, group members, welcome back to the Sunday stream. Today is November the 1st, 2020, and the stock market just opened up, futures, and I'm just going to take a quick look here to see what futures is doing. I'm going to zoom in. I'm in the 5-minute time frame, and let's just see here. Yeah, so we last closed at 32.80, and at the moment on the 5-minute time frame, as you can see, we gapped down and we're currently moving lower. Some points to note that I'm looking at, right, are 32.30. That's major support. A break of that, I'm looking at 3,200 as the psychological support. Then we have support at 31.89. I'm just gonna head into the 4-hour time frame to give you a bigger picture of what the levels that I have drawn out here. Right. So, like I said, 31.90 is our next support if we were to break 3,200 psychological. There's a lot of uncertainty looming with regards to the election. This time of year, it's very hectic. The market's uncertain. People are uncertain where the direction is. And usually around presidential campaigns, history tells us that it's always very volatile. So keep that in mind. So we're pretty much going to be expecting another week of ups and downs, looking for direction, perhaps even heading lower. Like I said over here, 32.30 is support. We had it right here. We had it right here back on September the 22nd. Over here, we were trying to break it on July the 16th. So I'm looking at this level as key support. Again, 31.90 as the next one. If we were to head lower than that, I'm looking at 31.50. Do I envision that? Anything's possible. Judging by the pattern that we're on right now, I mentioned that we're at a double bottom, 1, 2, and I could see a reversal going back up over 3,300. That's one scenario. If we don't hold this 32.30 mark, we could potentially drop all the way down to 3,000, and that's very possible. Like I said, a bunch of things with the presidential campaign, also the spiking COVID cases. Many places are being shut down. A lot of places in Europe being shut down. They're rolling back their guidelines on how many people can sit in restaurants and whatnot. So keep that in mind. A lot of uncertain times are ahead of us. Okay. Moving on to the watch list, starting with Apple, AAPL. Okay, so here we are on the 4-hour time frame. We had Apple earnings last week. Pretty good numbers. Unfortunately, the stock didn't move up. It happens. I always say earning plays are very risky. It's more of a gamble. As you saw with a lot of tech names this week, a lot of them, actually almost all of them, had great numbers, great earnings, and they all trended down. Like I said, the market has a lot to do with that. So some key levels that I'm looking at this week. Now keep in mind, this is on the 4-hour time frame. I'm looking at 109. Right now, we're currently at that mark, 108.50. So if we were to open right now, I would look at 106 as key support. You can also draw support down at this range. at 103, and 100 psychological. Now, in order for us to see a trend change, I would like to see Apple at least above 116. But at the current moment, if we were to open at 109, I'm looking at 112.50 as overhead resistance, 114 and 116 as potential take profit zones. If I were to enter at 112, I would look at 114 and 116 as potential take profit areas. But for me to feel comfortable with regards to a trend change, I would look at 116 as the very minimum, 119 as another key one here. Okay, so that's Apple. Next one, NVIDIA. Okay, let's just stroll in here and check out what's happening. So NVIDIA, dropped down on market weakness. I guess you could say it's a good buying opportunity, but as you know, the way we went up to all-time highs during the pandemic was through the big tech names, the semiconductors, and right now they are the weakest names of all the sectors. So some key points that I'm looking at, right? Just zoom in here. We're currently at 500. I'm looking at this mark right here at 494. A drop of that, a shorting opportunity to 484 is very highly likely. As you can see here previously, 484 got hit once, 2, 3, 4 times. So a break of 494, 495, I would look for a shorting opportunity to 484. I wouldn't say exactly at 494, 495, because there's a lot of price action in between. So, I just stress to be careful during this mark right here. Give it a few candlesticks to show confirmation along with volume, and check to see what the market conditions are before you head into a short position on NVIDIA. If 484 can't hold, I'm looking at 468, and that's very highly possible. As you can see, we've had a lot of price action, touchdown here, almost down here as well. So I'm looking at these two areas of 484 and 468 as supports on NVIDIA. Now on the upside, I'd like to see this area right here at 505 break. We have a cluster of price action right here. We got rejected a few times before we broke out and moved up. So at the very minimum, I'm looking at 505 to break with a potential scalp at 510 to 515 as a take profit zone. If I was more of a safer trader and looking for a direction, I would look at 530 as an area where I could see a trend change happening. But obviously, a lot of factors have to come into place. So at the very minimum right now, I'm looking at 505 to break, overhead resistance as 510 to 515, even 520 for a take profit. But first, I would like to see 505 break. And if you don't want to trade during this whole price action, I look at 530 as a good entry point. And 530 can take you to 535. I would use this as confirmation, right? If you're at 530, you'd say, okay, I can take profit at 535, or I can increase my position depending on the volume market conditions, and I can take profit at 544, 548 mark. overall, as they say, the trend is your friend. And as you can see here, if I was to guess, or if I was just to like observe, I would say we're heading back down to this 484 to touch down where this previous price action was. Now, this all depends on how the market opens tomorrow. Okay. So that's NVDA. Next on the docket is Tesla. TSLA is the ticker symbol. Tesla also saw weakness due to the the market conditions, and we closed at 387. We're currently at support, but I personally would not short Tesla until I see a break of 380. A break of 380 could definitely take us down to 361 for a great shorting opportunity. Just looking at this chart right here, it's very highly possible we touch down to this 360 mark. We've had some price action here back in September the 24th, the 10th of September, and the breakout in August, on August the 17th. So this is an area that I'm looking at. Again, I would look for confirmation of 388 to break, right? My second confirmation will be 380. And if there's increasing volume on the sell side, I would definitely look for 360 as a take profit area. Now, I wouldn't touch Tesla to the upside unless I see a move over 405. As you can see, 405 held for support for pretty long here, October the 6th. We had it here, and we've had it here on the breakout. So 405 above that, I'm looking at 426 for a take profit area, and for a trend change to happen, I'm looking at 456 as key resistance. As I said before in the previous videos, and we were trading Tesla a few weeks back, the magic number is 464. It seems like a long way now, and I'm just looking at 405 as my key indicator to break for a 426 and 436 overhead resistance take profit areas. Okay, so that's Tesla on the 4-hour time frame. Next is Netflix, Nflx. Okay, so there was some news on Netflix about them increasing their subscription, I believe, to $14, and their higher subscription to $18. We did receive a short-term pop on that. I believe I called out to the group members. A few of you profited. I took profits on it, and basically it was a break above 500 and a take profit of 508 to 510. When stuff like this happens, you do get a big volume spike right here. Don't forget, this is on the 4-hour time frame. But the overall trend on Netflix was heading lower. That was due to earnings. We didn't do so well in terms of what the market wanted. So it pushed down. So usually when a stock pushes down up on earnings, it's going to stay there for quite a while, especially how Netflix acts. Just, previously trading it in the past, I know after we bomb on earnings, we tend to move sideways and head lower. So this volume pop on the subscription increase, it was one of those things where you had to take opportunity. After the hype is down and dries up, as you see, it pushed back right down on the next day. So some key levels that I'm looking at on Netflix: a break of 474 for a take profit of 466 as the next support. You can even draw a support line down here at 460. So if it 474 were to break, right, you could take profit at 466 potentially. And obviously, if the market conditions are bad and everything else selling off and the volume's confirming it, I would look to either take profit here or increase my position for a final take profit and closing out my full position at 460. So those are some of the areas that I'm looking at to the downside. To the upside, similar to this big volume pop on the news, I'm looking at over 500 for safer entry, 508 to 512 as overhead resistance and potential take profit zones on the break of 500. A riskier trade, I'll be looking at 488, a break of 488 with a take profit of anywhere from 495 to 500. I say this is risky because there's a lot of price action, a lot of, back and forth, big long candle wicks, rug pulls here, 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 here. As options traders, these kill us. You enter here and you're thinking of, oh, great, this is a breakout above 500 and, a long wick down. And all of a sudden you're in the red with your premium being crushed based on the volatility. So again, a riskier trade is to enter at 488 to take profits at 500. A safer trade, I would say, is a convincing break of 500 for a take profit of 508 to 510. Above that, if we open up tomorrow on the S&P 500 and there's some great bullish news and an upgraded catalyst by analysts on Netflix, if we break 512, it's definitely very possible to hit 522 and 530 as the next take profit areas and overhead resistance. Okay, so that is Netflix on the 4-hour time frame. Next name I'll be looking at is Facebook. Another one of those tech names that had earnings. It was a beat. They did really well. Unfortunately, a push down, right? So this is the market open here based on earnings. This was after hours. We opened up and we pushed right back down. This is one of the names that really sold off, during the weakness that we had last week due to the market uncertainty. So where did we find support? We found support basically around this 265 to 260 area where we had a cluster here happening back on October the 1st, once more here on October the 9th, and we finally broke out on October the 20th. So I could definitely see us swishing down to this area, consolidating, running sideways for a trend change or for me to feel safe on entering Facebook for call positions. I'm looking at 270 just because, we couldn't break it here. We broke it out here. So a break of 270, 274, 280 would be a good take profit area. But just, be careful because 270 is a tricky one. Like right here, you could have thought we would have gone to all-time highs, but we dropped right back down into this area where we're heading right now. So a break of 270, I'm looking at 274 and 280 to 282 as take profit areas. If we can't hold the 560 support, I would see and wait for 255 to break, just because I wouldn't enter at 260 because there's a lot of action right here and you might get chopped up and the market might reverse and you could be in a trade that you don't want to. So I'm looking at 255, 256. You know, we had a first support here. If I was to look at this and to trade it, I'd be like, all right, well, we broke 260. We're at 256. I want to see an increase of volume to the downside, right? For a potential play all the way to 248. Why 248? Obviously, we have had support down here back in September, the 25th. Again, down here, the 18th. So this is a key area for me if we're to break 256. So a 248 to 244 take profit is highly possible if we open on weakness. And that is for Facebook. Okay. Next one, Zoom. Zoom has basically lost its uptrend or on the brink of losing its uptrend. So as you can see here, you know, we've been making some crazy gains on Zoom here. We finally broke out, almost touching 600. And ever since then, it's been a downfall. Currently, we're at 260, which is key support. As I said, we are in an uptrend, but breaking to 460 is key for me because basically that changes the trend of how it looks, right? So we had a top at 588. Break this, you know, I would say some areas to keep an eye out on for if 260 is broken, sorry, 460 is broken. I would say, okay, just put a support right here, right? 442. You could draw another one right here at 425. Big one down here at 374. I don't envision it going that deep. However, what we can do is go into the lower time frames. Let's just start with the 1 hour. I guess the 4 hours the best. So usually when stocks run up like this, they don't build much support. You know, there's so much euphoria that, you know, they have a blow off top and then they trend down and then they fall really fast because they never built any support. See, look at this. We literally went from 307 all the way to 476 with very little sell pressure. And what happened was because of that huge euphoric jump, we basically retraced all of the gains that we had. So I'm gonna have to put a support area right here and one right here at 341. So that's what I'm looking at on Zoom. So a break of 460, I'm definitely looking at 442 as potential take profit areas, support, you can call it. You can also draw another line right here at 450 as a potential stop. So if I'm looking at Zoom and it's open at 460, it's a no trade for me. 450, I would feel more comfortable, right? 450 to 442 would be a good entry for a take profit of 425. Now, say if the market opened up at, you know, 467, then definitely 460 is on the play for me. So a break of 460, I'm definitely looking at 450 as a take profit area. Or if the volume proceeds, I would add to my position at 450 and take profit at 442. Or if the volume proceeds after that and we have some serious market weakness, I would look to add once more to my position for a potential profit taking area of 425. You guys got to be careful with this whole shorting. You're not going to always hit your targets 100%. So definitely take profits. If you see the market reversing, keep your eyes on the S&P 500. Not just that, keep your eyes on the other sectors. Keep your eyes on the tech sector. Very much when you're shorting, you got to be really cautious because you do get reversals, and you don't want to be stuck in a position that you're down there. In terms of plays to the upside, I would say above 477, right? We had it for support pretty much here. 477 to 488 would be a good play. I would say that's more of a riskier trade. I personally like the 488 mark as an entry area, and 500 for a take profit. We switched around this area quite a bit, so I'm pretty comfortable entering at 488 for a take profit of 500. 500 were to break again at 507, and 520 as overhead resistance. Okay, that is Zoom on the 4-hour time frame. Roku, this one has earnings coming up this week. I was really interested in Roku on Friday just because I haven't seen it at these levels of 200. Since October the 6th, and a break below 200, I can definitely see areas where it could stop at 195, the top of this right here, 185, got rejected a couple times down here back in September. 190 as a potential stop as well. So if Roku were to open exactly at 202, which is at support, I would most likely look at 195 as my potential shorting entry, down to 190 and 185. In terms of overhead, for a trade to go to the upside, I'm looking at a break of 208 to 210 for a take profit of 214 and 220. If earnings are bullish, I could definitely see this thing going back all the way to 228 to 232 and swish around back to where this consolidation was prior to us breaking support due to the market conditions. Okay, so that's Roku on the 4-hour time frame. Piton, another one with earnings coming up. Again, one of those stocks with huge euphoria based on people, exercising at home. Gyms are closed during the pandemic. And every time there is news upon shutdown, this stock tends to shoot back up. So certain areas that I'm looking at, we can draw some support areas here. We haven't been down here in a while. So I'm looking at 109 as current support. 105, 100, 95, and 88 as support areas. Why 88? held it over here, broke out from it over here. A break of 109, 105 could be an area where we could land. A break of that, I could definitely see us pushing as low as 100. You know, it was resistance over here back on September 11th, resistance once again on the 23rd of September, and we finally broke out to all-time highs after the break of 100 to 105. This area is important. So a break of 109, I could definitely see Peloton going as low as 105 to 100 before finding some sort of support based on previous action here. You know, if earnings are terrible, I could definitely see this thing going all the way back down to $88. I'm going to draw another support down here at 77. So these are some of the areas that I can see Peloton going to if earnings are terrible. Of course, we're in a difficult time during the whole election thing. Nobody knows what's happening. So those are some areas I'm looking at to the downside. However, to the upside, 114 is overhead resistance. A play from 114 to 118, 120 mark is highly possible. We could see resistance there. We have some price action over here that could basically make it a good take profit area. Of course, if volume were to come in strong and there's rumors about earnings being great, or if there's an analyst upgrade, I can definitely see Peloton going back to 122 to 126 area. But personally, I wouldn't enter into Peloton. I would say above 119. I just want to see all this get broken. And this is the major concern for me here. Even if I were to enter at 119, a small short take profit target would be at 122.50. I would get out here just to reassess my position because you could stay in at 122 hoping to take profit at 126, but as you can see here, we've been rejected so many times and the price has pushed down. So a great idea would be to enter at 119, 118.50 and exit at 122.50 and just wait it out, look to see what the market conditions are doing. And if we break 126, I would look for a second entry right here and just let the stock do its thing around this area. So that's Peloton. Next on the list, BABA, which is another one reporting earnings this week. BABA is doing pretty good. 310, 308, 314 area. We've been trending in this area since October the 12th. Keep in mind, this is a 4-hour time frame, right? I have support at 303 and 300 as key support. I would not touch BABA to the downside unless I see a break of 300 for a potential profit short opportunity to 296 and 292. I say I wouldn't because 303 has held pretty well. And right here at 300, we held it. 1, for psychological support. 2, we have price action breaking over and coming back down. So I wouldn't touch BABA at 303 heading down. Under 300, definitely. Again, a lot of things have to come in place. The news, the market conditions, analysts. So that's to the downside. To the upside, we could definitely see an earnings push up back to 320. But the key areas that I'm looking at personally is over 310 for a take profit of 313 to 314. And if 314 were to break, I'm looking at 316 and potentially all-time highs. But Bob was one of those ones, I've been caught a few times thinking it's a breakout, but it pushed right back down. So be careful. I personally don't like to touch BABA whatsoever on the downside or to the upside unless you get a convincing break above 316 to 319. That's just me because I don't want to get caught up in this price action. I'd like to see consistent breakouts. I want to see a trend change to the upside or to the downside. But this right here, this consolidation, it doesn't really help. So with stocks like this and a pattern like this, all you can do is sit and wait and watch for volume to come in, news catalysts to come in, or a break above areas where we've had overhead resistance. So the resistance that we've had, it's consistently 310 and it has held for support as well. So personally, I'm not touching BABA till 320. A good call entry would be above 310, 310.50 to 314. But again, I still would categorize that as risky. So BABA is a no trade zone for me until I see those levels break. Next one, Square, SQ. Okay, as you guys can see, a lot of these charts, they look very similar to each other. And, when the market trends down, there's bearish news, all these charts are very similar, especially the big tech names. They all ran up and now they're all breaking back down because they never really created much support. And when they fall fast. Okay. Square, we're currently at 154. I'm looking at a break of 150 or even 147, 148 for a potential take profit of 144 all the way down to 137. This one is going to be difficult to trade to the downside. So I urge patience. This area right here, 150 is big. We've had it here as overhead resistance before. We couldn't break it here. We broke down here over it and we went right back down. Again, broke here, held it for support, and then we moved up. So this 150 area is good, right? Good support. I wouldn't necessarily short this area. However, it is very possible, but I would categorize it as high risk just because we've held it so many times, right here, here. Very possible that we stop here and then proceed to go up. But if you are one of those risky types and you are getting in and out on a scalp to the downside, 150, I would be looking at a break of that. My next confirmation would be 147, 148 for that to break. And I would enter below 148 all the way down to 145 to 144 as potential take profits. And obviously, if those two levels break and the volume is showing pressure that people are getting out and the market's selling off, very high possibility that you're looking at a profit taking all the way to 137. So be cautious with the square and patience with this because these areas have held pretty well, in the past. Towards the upside, personally, I'm looking at anything over 158, 160. It's been overhead resistance in the past. Back in, let's just see here, August, the 5th, August the 21st, September 15th, September 28th. So like I said, 160 is a key area to look at. Pushing above that, I can definitely see it going back to 167. However, I'm going to draw some areas right here where I could see it stopping before going up to there, and that's 164, right? Tried to retest it here, couldn't break it, pushed back down. So 164 on the break of 158, 160. For 164, take profit to 167. And that's square. Square, just like BABA, it's the wait and see approach. So be careful with square. Fdx Fedex. Okay. It's not one of the stocks that I normally trade, but I have added it to my watch list. You know, during the whole pandemic, UPS, FedEx, all these stocks have pushed higher. So it's definitely a stock that I'm going to look at. I'm going to draw some areas of support. Right here. 259, I guess you could say also 260, just to go off around numbers. 255, 247, 250, 243, 239. So those are some of the key areas where I could see FedEx dropping down to. Personally, I don't like to touch FedEx around these areas. I would like to see it break 250 for a potential push down to 240. So 250, you can enter in here, take a short down to 247. I would potentially end up taking profits around this area unless I see volume proceeding for a second target of 243. Take profit to the downside. Now, if we open up at 259, which is what we're at right now, and we're swishing around to like 260, 262, you know, I could potentially say you can enter it right here over 261, 262 for 266 take profit. Or you can say to yourself, you know what, I don't really want to deal with any of this. For a safer trade, I'm going to enter at 266 for a take profit of 270 to 272. And that would also help with the trend change, because right now, as you can see, we're trending lower. A trend change for me, at the very least, would be above 272. Right here, you know, this consolidation that happened back on October the 12th, potentially it's going to happen over here again. And if it could do the same thing that it did over here on October the 12th in November, then proceed up, that's healthy to me. So 272 is a key area to take profits at if you were to enter at 262. Or you could see how if the market gets rejected at 272, it's definitely heading right back down, because that is key support back in October, and it is now overhead resistance. So if it does move up on strength, I could see it swishing around here and then proceeding up based on strength. And if it's weak, it heads to 272 and pushes right back down for a staircase pattern. Okay, so that is FedEx. Last one, BA, Boeing. So Boeing airline stocks. Guys, this is one of the most manipulated stocks. I personally hate trading Boeing because I can never get a handle on it, but sometimes it does give you great opportunities. So I'm going to draw some lines here. Head over to the price. Okay. Support at 244. Let's just say 245. Okay, this thing doesn't want to cooperate. So 245 support, 241, 240. Okay, let's draw some more. 236, 230, 220 as support on BA. We're currently at 244, a break of 240, 241. I'm looking at a take profit short down to 136. The second target be at 130. Boeing is one of those ones, when it does sell off, it sells off hard. So if you don't want to enter in at 140, I would definitely look for 140 to break as my first confirmation, and I would enter it at 136 for my short, all the way down to 130, and potentially, if it does sell off, to 120. Boeing is one of those ones that we ran up after the market lows, and I know a lot of people that were saying, oh, well, I missed out on Boeing. I could have gotten at $80. And this is potentially another opportunity to head back down there. With the whole lockdowns happening, people not being able to travel, it's a high possibility that we are going to go back down there. But I am going to be looking at these areas this week. 120, 130, 136. These are areas of support and areas where if 140 were to break, would be a good shorting opportunity down to those areas. So keep your eyes out on Boeing. With regards to plays to the upside, let me draw some lines here for you guys. Above 152, I'm looking at a take profit of 156, right? Second target is 160. And I could see us heading to 160, right? And if we're still weak, it's another staircase pattern down. It's just a continuation pattern down. I'm not bullish on Boeing if we go to 160 and stop here. We had resistance here, right here. It's held for support. If it were to break the 160 area, 164 area, I would start to change my mind. But if I'm looking at this on the 4-hour time frame, right, it's just an attempt to retest overhead resistance and then head right back down to where it should be at 120 and below. Just me looking at this pattern right here. So those are some of the areas I'm looking at on Boeing, right? Above 152, 156 as my first take profit, 160 as my second. I would get out here, wait to see what Boeing does, to see if this breaks this 160, 164 mark for at least, to give us a little more clarity on where it's heading. At the moment, happened here, went back up, creating a staircase pattern down, swished here. Same thing can happen here. Drop down to here, retest 160, and head right back down. So guys, be very careful with Boeing. So those are some of the areas. And that's pretty much it for this Sunday stream. I'd like to thank all the members that signed up for the membership. Um, I look forward to, for the rest of the guys signing up. I'm definitely going to improve the channel and add further features. I just want to thank everyone again. Um, it's been a great experience helping people. This is not just a trading group that's going to help you with signals and entering and exiting, but it helps you to become a better trader, a successful trader, to develop good habits. And I hope you guys all understand this takes hard work. It takes planning and preparation, drawing out your trades the night before, different scenarios to the downside, to the upside, journaling to see where you went wrong. Um, I'm definitely going to be looking at each one of you guys to see where you're at in terms of your development. And that's something I'm going to implement um, going forward. So with that being said, this is the end of the stream. Looking forward to tomorrow and helping everyone out. And I wish everyone luck and, stay green. All right. Goodbye, guys.